Alright, so now we're at the part where I'm going to be going over my rating system. I'll be the first to admit that some of my categories, I'm not a film critic and I can't really rate them without bias, so yeah, I gave the acting 40 out of 40 for the episodes because I really like all the actors. Probably didn't deserve that, maybe it did, I don't know. So I'm going to go through each of the categories and what I gave them, but just keep in mind some of them are more useful to this whole analysis process than others. But I'm going to be going over them, explaining what I gave each category and a few of the notes I took. So there's also two kind of subcategories. There's the historical accuracy rating system and there's the series engagement rating system. So first, in the historical accuracy rating system, we have portrayal of main characters' experiences versus real life counterparts. So I have a total and then I have a percentage. Some of the totals are going to differ because I didn't include every episode. For example, with this category, I gave it a 21 out of 30, and that's a 70%. Now, you're probably thinking it should be out of 40 because you did 4 episodes, each one was out of 10. Yes, but I didn't include episode 6 about Eugene Rowe because there really wasn't all that much information on his real life. So instead of giving it a bad score for that, I just said, let's not include it. So for the portrayal of main characters' experiences, yeah, we got a 70%, 21 out of 30. Thought I did a really good job. We know a lot about Richard Winters. He was portrayed pretty accurately. In the second episode, we had Blythe as our focus, which was powerful, but we know there were some faults there in his real experience. Number 2, portrayal of major events, like D-Day, the Battle of the Bulge, etc. This one got a 33 out of 40, or an 83%. D-Day I thought was really well done. I talked about how there was a new look at D-Day. The Battle of Carentan in the third episode was really well done. In episode 6 we learned more about the medic role, so that was pretty good. And then in episode 9 we have the concentration camps, but that wasn't really easy company. So I gave them pretty scores for each one of them. Number 3, military details. So tactics, combatants, who was fighting who, all that sort of stuff. This one got a 35 out of 40, or an 88%. Some of the notes I said here was episode 2 did a really good job of focusing on Breakcourt Manor and explaining where the guns were, how everything was positioned, what Easy Company really had to do. I thought that was really effective. So number 4 is settings. So this is replications of buildings, of towns, of all that sort of stuff. This one got a 37 out of 40, so a 93%. And this isn't something I really talked about in my reviews, but it's something that they put a lot of effort into. So there is a combination of sets and props and CGI, of course. The really big things I want to say about this one was episode 6. The whole forest that they were fighting in was actually made in an airplane hangar. So all the snow was fake. A lot of the trees were fake so that they could blow up. They were made out of styrofoam or something like that, so that was really amazing. Next category, we have really big blunders. And this one got a 6 out of 20. So I only scored it out of 2 episodes based on what I could find. Yeah, so that's a 30%, and I think we all know what brought this one down. It was episode 3 saying Blythe died at the end when he didn't really die. What was really difficult about this category was it wasn't so much blunders, it was more conscious choices that were being made. Like in episode 6, the decision to have Renee and Eugene Rowe meet and kind of interact. They know that didn't happen in history, but they made that choice. Same with Easy Company discovering the concentration camp. Didn't really happen, but they chose to include it. So blunders, maybe I misnamed this category, but yeah, it got a 30%. That makes the whole thing look really bad, but it really wasn't that significant. And finally, in the historical accuracy system, we have props and objects included, like tanks, guns, costumes, all that sort of stuff. This one got a 80%, or a 85%, a 34 out of 40. So we have examples in the second episode of the cricket, that's right there that I showed you. We have the German 88s, the kind of tanks, the guns. This is a really big theme. They have in one episode the oak leaf that Winters is given for his helmet to show that he's a major now. Really, really good on the props and the details in that sense. So historical accuracy rating, in all, the score was a 166 out of 210, and that is a 79%. So pretty solid. There was a lot of effort made at historical accuracy, but it wasn't perfect. It can be used as a tool, but not a main teacher of these events. Alright, moving on to the second category, which this is way more subjective and is just on me and how much I love it. So again, a lot more bias present here, but we have the series engagement ratings. Acting, impactful characters, authenticity, emotion, and reaction. 100%, 40 out of 40. Every episode, whoever the main character was that was focused on, I said that episode 2, Damian Lewis is amazing. Episode 3, Mark Warren is amazing. Episode 6, Shane Taylor is amazing. And episode 9, Ron Livingston is amazing. And it's not only these guys that are amazing, it's pretty much the whole cast. Again, not a film critic, not an actor. Do I really have a place to say that their acting was good? Nope. As a viewer, did I find it engaging and convincing? Yep. In terms of visuals, so settings, sets, lighting, costumes, props, so this isn't if the settings were realistic, it's if they were cool to look at. 37 out of 40, so 93%. I said that episode 2, it was a little hard to see at times in the night, who was who and what was happening. There was a lot of explosions during the drop on the morning of D-Day. Sometimes didn't really know what was going on, so that got a little bit of a lower score. I do mention briefly in episode 6 about the gore and the blood and how it's used effectively and not just for the sake of being there. So pretty solid score on that one. In terms of the story, so the flow and the progression, is it smooth, is it choppy? What's the pace like, the timing, the structure? This got a 34 out of 40 or an 85%. Some of my comments there, the first one, super engaging, pretty smooth flow, good drama, good pacing. Episode 6, I said there was a few abrupt transitions, but they were done pretty effectively, and it was kind of intentional, where if a scene kind of chopped right in half, it was to show the juxtaposition between like calmness and kind of downtime and boom, when a battle starts and where the medic has to be. So I thought that was actually really well done. In episode 9, I say how it was really cool how they bookended the beginning and the end with almost the same shot and put the story in the middle. I thought that was pretty effective. Sound. So the effective score, sound effects, the ambiance of being in the moment, the way music is used. This one got a 41 out of 40 or a 103%. Again, I don't really know all that much about score in cinema. I enjoy it. I enjoy watching video essays about it. I think it's a really impactful, important part of movies, of TV shows, and getting you kind of in the headspace and reflecting what faces or words can't even show. We all know how much I love the inclusion of the melancholic Beethoven piece in the 9th episode. I also think that in the 6th episode with Eugene Rowe, the ambiance is very quiet and eerie and muffled, and I really like how that kind of portrays the falling snow and the silence that snow creates, so that was really well done. I know I'm going in reverse, but in episode 3 I said the sound was really good at creating moments of emotion, like when Blythe gets that Edelweiss flower and pins it, the score there is used really effectively. And in episode 2 I just said the best music ever because of the title sequence and how cool that is. Second to last one, is it easy to follow for the average audience? So this one got a 34 out of 40 or an 85%. I talk here about the characters, how it's a little hard to get to know them, but then once you do get to know them, they kind of lead you through the story, and they're the pieces through which the story is told, and I think it's really good if you kind of learn who's who, then you're really able to follow along a bit better. And the final category, does it take prior knowledge to understand? So this is more about the history in terms of, can I, knowing nothing about it, go in and get something out of it? This one got a 32 out of 40 or an 80%. What I had to say is that a couple of the episodes had pretty technical language and they talked a lot about military tactics, but that doesn't really take away from what's going on. You can still follow it. I said episode 6 does a good job of portraying the role of medics throughout the war, and I think this episode, while none of them by any means is a standalone episode, this one can be used as kind of a study into that specific role, and even if you knew nothing else about the series, you could go into this one and really come out with greater insight. And then finally, the 9th episode, I gave it a 9 out of 10 because, yeah, you probably need to know what the Holocaust is and you need to know what the final solution to the Jewish question means. So, yeah, you need to know some stuff, but not all that much. So, total for this one, I didn't calculate beforehand, so I'm going to do that right now. Alright, the results are in. It got a score of 218 out of 240, which is a 91%. Take this especially with a grain of salt. I'm pretty biased, but I had fun doing it, and I'd say the general consensus outside of even this is that it's a pretty engaging series that has been well received both critically and by audiences. So yeah, that's what I discovered. We have a 79% historical accuracy and a 91% engagement rating. I kind of like that. It shows that it's not perfect, but it does a good job, and I think it can be useful. So thanks for tuning into this explanation of my ratings. Again, I've got a few more comments on my Google spreadsheet, but this kind of encapsulates what I found, how I rated. I think this whole project has really shown me that this series does have use, it is valuable, and it's taught me a lot along the way about how history is portrayed and what it means to engage with pieces like this and why it's important. So thanks a lot.